Ladies and gentlemen, dear folks, thank you for joining me today. This presentation on culture, change and gender in the Anthropocene is a repetition of my speech delivered at the annual meeting of the Germanists and German Teachers Association of Taiwan in 2023. Please let me first introduce myself. My name is Holger Hähle. I am a molecular biologist and behavioral economist. I am affiliated with the German department at the Wenzhou Ursuline University of Languages in Kaohsiung, where I teach and conduct research. Additionally, I am an author focusing on topics related to anthropology and gender studies. My talk will be approximately 20 minutes, divided into 4 parts. To ensure we all mean the same, I would like to begin by providing explicit definitions for culture and the Anthropocene. Doing so, I aim to prevent misunderstandings in my presentation's crucial 3rd and 4th parts. Let's get started. In this image, African weaver bird's nest building skill showcases a cultural phenomenon. However, it's essential to note that this is the only cultural achievement they provide. Similarly, beavers have a remarkable ability to build elaborate dwellings. In addition, they can regulate the water level at the entrance of their living castles. Lucy, a fount of a female Australopithecus, holds the title of our primordial mother due to the presence of her genes in our genome. She could walk upright and utilize her hands, for example, to smash stones using the sharp splinters as a blade. The cultural achievements observed in these life forms remain confined to specific aspects of their lives. The development of cultural phenomena towards a complex culture takes place for the first time in humans of the genus Homo. This marks the beginning of history. The time before, with pre-humans like Lucy, is considered prehistory. The concept of culture traces its origins back to the development of agricultural practices. For instance, the agricultural revolution in the Middle East led to the formation of intricate cultures among, for example, the Sumerians, Babylonians and ancient Egyptians, which permeated every aspect of their lives. The division of labor accompanying this revolution increased the significance placed on social rank and gender roles. Additionally, one's social standing and gender were indicated by specific attire. What are the prerequisites for engaging in culture? First of all, hands with an opposable thumb enabling the grasping and manipulation of objects. Second, a brain with cognitive abilities and ego consciousness. A brain that's capable of collecting experiences and reflecting on them through a logical and abstracting process with associative connotations. A brain that, in a process of refinement, creates a language center encoding sensory perceptions into words and connecting them with grammatical structures, enabling the expression of nuanced contexts. So, the physical brain provides the structural foundation of culture, which consists of an empirical and a rationalistic processor. The emotional processor includes the limbic system, located in the diencephalon and marked in red on the picture to the left. On the other hand, the rationalistic processor is situated in the prefrontal neocortex of the cerebral cortex, marked red in the picture on the right. Without this duality, cultural achievements would not be possible. Culture is what humans continuously produce. It emerges from nature develops self-determinedly and increasingly adheres to its own rules separate from nature. For instance, gender is a deliberate cultural interpretation of biological sex. Most animals lack gender. The emergence of gender through culture and its potential for change is vividly evident in cosplay. Here we have a real Taiwanese cis couple that engages in role-swapping during cosplay. Even in virtual reality games such as Second Life, players frequently choose avatars that challenge socially assigned gender norms. Culture encompasses all the creative accomplishments of humanity, including the deliberate transformation of materials for artistic and technical purposes, as well as purely intellectual creations such as philosophy or mathematics. The central characteristic of culture is the principle of deliberate and voluntary construction. Throughout evolution, culture has developed into a complex system that facilitates and increasingly emancipates life from nature. For instance, the introduction of agriculture and storage techniques enhanced food security, subsequently increasing life expectancy. Natural landscapes continue to be cultivated for industrial agriculture, often resulting in vast monocultures. While fertilizers enhance yields, they also contaminate groundwater. On the other hand, pesticides provide crop protection, but their excessive use discourages biodiversity, affecting not only pests but also essential pollinators like bees and bumblebees. Consequently, manual pollination becomes necessary for these cherry blossoms in China. Cultural progress improves people's lives, but with a growing impact on the environment. Humans, with their growing populations and advancing technological capabilities, are exerting an increasingly significant and enduring impact on the biological, geological, and atmospheric processes of the entire planet. The immense anthropogenic impact on nature is giving rise to a new era, the Anthropocene. Well, it's worth noting that the Anthropocene has yet to be officially recognized. We are still in the Holocene period, which follows the Pleistocene's last ice age. The decision regarding introducing the Anthropocene is currently being discussed among professional societies. And while waiting for a decision, let's examine the impact of human activities on fashion culture. Fashion is a fundamental form of cultural expression with a highly diverse and ever-evolving appearance. In Hungary, it has been a tradition for women and men to marry in white attire. Interestingly, women continue to do so even in the 21st century, while men, for some reason, have moved away from this tradition. Fashion has held particular importance for men throughout history, as it has been used by nobility and clergy to assert their authority and divine mandate with lavish and representative clothes. During this time, all fashion was predominantly masculine. In tournaments, when knights competed on foot, they wore armor with tight waists and flared skirts, accentuating their masculinity. Short skirts with a pronounced A-line were considered a male privilege, serving as riding skirts and prohibited for women. So Marlene Dietrich caused quite a scandal when she appeared in a suit. Today, that's standard attire for many women in their jobs. In the 1930s, men were required to wear one-piece swimsuits, as going topless was considered unacceptable even for males. Conversely, women were prohibited from wearing bathing suits that exposed their legs and shoulders or accentuated their body shape. These examples demonstrate that besides practical purposes, fashion carries significant social and cultural meanings. For as long as clothing has existed, fashion has served practical purposes such as protection from the cold, but it's even more significant as a non-verbal form of communication. Fashion plays an important role in regulating interpersonal relationships. Clothing primarily serves as an expression of social standards and norms, reflecting the social status and gender of the wearer. Thus, it mirrors the social order with its associated privileges and responsibilities. In various cultures, significantly different concepts regarding the appearance of female and male clothing exist. The Wodaabe people of Niger cultivate ideals of beauty that are different from those in the Western world because they originated in a culture where women choose their men. It is therefore up to the men to make themselves attractive enough to arouse a woman's interest. Moreover, even within a culture, ideas about fashion can change over time or transform completely. In ancient times, short skirts increased the freedom of movement of warriors in battle and therefore became the epitome of martial masculinity and virility. Today, women can also show up in miniskirts and even they feel sexy in them, but not at all masculine. How is that possible? The inherent mutability of fashion points to a principle of intentional construction. Human creation is always intertwined with construction. In the blurb of my book, I state that for thousands of years, skirts and dresses have been defining the main elements of our fashion culture, worn in every culture. Throughout history, even great men like Ashkenatan, the Egyptian pharaoh, Julius Caesar, Jesus and Charlemagne have been depicted wearing them. Men, including Greek hoplites and Roman gladiators, fought their opponents wearing the shortest miniskirts in fashion history. However, in modern times, pants have become mandatory attire for men. How was such a development possible, considering that even in late Rome there were imperial edicts prohibiting legionaries from wearing pants even in the cold winter regions of the empire? In the 18th and 19th centuries, the civil rights movement, with the French Revolution playing a central role, brought about significant social changes. Men finally transitioned from wearing skirts to pants, and as pants became associated with male privilege, skirts became associated with non-privileged femininity. Consequently, skirts became taboo for men, just as pants became taboo for women. The sans-culotte, the pants of the working population in France, symbolized the new order. Pants symbolized practicality and utility, unlike the elaborate courtly skirts which represented decadent hegemony. A skirt was no longer considered appropriate for a bourgeois man and underwent social devaluation. From then on, pants became the only socially accepted leg wear for adult males. Pants' simple design emphasized the assertion of exclusive male rationality and goal-oriented decision-making competence. In 1930, the English psychologist John Carl Flügel explained in his book The Psychology of Clothes that the deliberate rejection of outwardly emphasized beauty was meant to redirect focus toward inner qualities that should be valued more. He referred to this phenomenon as the Great Masculine Renunciation. Women were excluded from wearing pants because they had no being. Their authentic essence, as the philosopher and theorist mastermind of modern democracy Jean-Jacques Rousseau explained, was the nothingness of appearance, the theater. Women should exercise the gentle rule of the heart at home, while men take action for the res publica, the cause of all. The far-reaching changes in gender roles and their representation through bourgeois attire constituted a paradigm shift because, with the advent of bourgeois rule, the outward appearance of men underwent fundamental transformations and a complete reversal. All symbols of masculinity that had previously held dominance were reinterpreted with a bourgeois context. The extensive changes in gender roles and the way they were expressed through bourgeois clothing marked a paradigm shift, as men no longer adorned themselves, but rather adorned themselves through their women, whose garments and jewelry they financed. A diamond necklace worn by a wife with a low neckline signified the elevated social status of the man who could afford such a woman. All the fashion privileges that were once exclusive to men are now considered feminine, and fashion has become predominantly associated with women. The reconfiguration of cultural gender roles by the civil rights movement ushered in a new era of patriarchal hegemony, and the new dress codes solidified and perpetuated that hierarchical order. The women's rights movement initiated dismantling this bourgeois order, marking the beginning of the subsequent cultural change. Feminism changed the unilateral rule for the better, aiming for equality. Their objectives rooted emancipation. So all fashion restrictions for women have been dismantled through their pursuit of equal rights, as you can see on these three pictures. Gender equality transcends the need of distinct markers. The images from the Summer of Love and Tokyo Street Style exemplify this. Today, women can wear anything they desire, while men tend to be more conservative. However, this trend appears to be changing, particularly among the representatives of Generation Z. Among this young generation, which is also known as post-millennials and roughly encompassing those born between 1997 and 2012, men are currently at the forefront of driving social change and redefining masculinity through new fashion trends encompassing jewelry, makeup, and skirts. The following illustrations show two male characters from a contemporary Japanese manga. And this is Jimin, a member of BTS and a renowned K-pop singer, confidently adorning a pearl necklace and makeup. Some countries like Taiwan have enacted legislation supporting equality. There, girls are no longer obligated to wear skirts as part of their school uniforms, and boys are no longer restricted to wearing pants. Business is already adapting to these new developments. For instance, the Japanese drugstore chain Poya features an advertisement promoting genderless makeup, and Adidas offers gender-neutral fashion. I am particularly fond of this advertising slogan by a label offering plain dresses for men. Take off your machismo. The clothing option of wearing a skirt aligns with the unisex or genderless trend. Young men perceive the skirt as progressive, allowing for expanded aesthetic expression and representing freedom and equality. The skirt represents breaking away from the toxic masculinity associated with older generations and their repressive norms. The shift within the rapper scene is particularly noteworthy because of their tradition as super cool, macho, and often misogynistic. In contrast to other pop and rock genres, today more rappers than other musicians embrace skirts on stage. In a survey conducted during my economics course on fashion critical market research, removing gender-specific clothing norms for men was perceived as emancipatory, leading to a de-hierarchization of gender relations. Female participants in the survey described men wearing skirts with adjectives such as progressive, team-playing, empathetic, understanding, and attractive. Respondents noted that equal clothing options for everyone eliminate distinctions and foster interactions on equal terms. When asked, do equal clothing options for all people contribute to equality, a statistically significant 75% of respondents answered affirmatively. The new fashion expression of Generation Z reflects a significant societal shift. This change not only redefines and reassigns fashion expressions and gender roles, but also challenges and even reverses their traditional symbolism. These changes no longer reinforce patriarchy, but contribute to its weakening and potential abolition by introducing new principles. As a result, cultural transformation is experiencing a magnitude and change in direction that challenges existing ideological norms, raising questions whether a new paradigm shift is on the horizon. I'm nearing the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And now, let me please conclude with a summary. Culture is a product of human creation. It's an artifact. Through culture, humans progressively gain independence from nature. Within a culture, social order is established as a complement and alternative to the natural order. In addition to biological sexes, sociocultural sexes can emerge through cultural influences. We talk of sex and gender. The freedom of cultural creation allows for any imaginable, technically feasible and socially enforceable construction, including transformative cultural changes and paradigm shifts. The Anthropocene represents a state of culture in which human activity becomes progressively disconnected from nature, exerting a dominant influence that impacts nature. This influence is evident not only in cultural aspects, but also in geological and atmospheric manifestations. Thank you for watching.